Good morning and welcome to Law Talk with Ethel Mitchell. Now for today's show, here's attorney Ethel Mitchell.
Welcome to all who are listening live throughout the world on Radio 1, station 1450 AM, WOLDCnews.com, LawTalkWithEthelMitchell.com, and over the free TuneIn app. This program is brought to you by my law office, Wills and Trust, LLC, where I prepare wills, trusts, power of attorneys, medical directives. So if you or anyone you know needs a will or assistance in administering an estate, give me a call at 202-772-1988. That's 202-772-1988. It's also brought to you by my sponsor, Equity Resources. So if you or anyone you know wants to sell your home in the Washington, D.C. metropolitan area, give Equity Resources a call. They will buy your home quickly and for cash. Their number is 202-621-6632. So welcome. We have a really great program for you today. Law is powerful. As you hear me say all the time, it can help you or it can hurt you. What you don't know can really hurt you, but what you do know can empower you. So each week, Law Talk with Ethel Mitchell aims to empower you by bringing you professionals who know the law to enlighten and inform you. Because the more you know, the more you can do. I must remind you that what you hear on this program is for information purposes only. No attorney-client relationship is established by anything said on this program. Each person's circumstances are different, and you must seek individual advice for any situation for which you need legal counsel. Today, our guest is noted attorney Warner Session. Attorney Session received his Bachelor of Arts degree in political science from Stanford University and his Juris Doctorate degree from the Georgetown University School of Law. His professional affiliations include Airports Council International, Airport Minority Advisors Council, American League of Lobbyists, Capital Commitment, Inc., where he serves as General Counsel, Concerned Black Men, the D.C. Lawyers Counseling Committee, the D.C. Chamber of Commerce, the District of Columbia Bar Association, the D.C. Land Title Association. Attorney Sessions also serves on the Board of Governors of the Metropolitan Baptist Church Day School and is a director of the Metropolitan Washington Airports Authority. Attorney Session is the founder and principal of the Session Law Firm, PC, which offers government relations, business consulting, and legal services in corporate transactions, federal procurement, small business development, strategic partnering, legislation, regulatory compliance, and real estate. I want to stress that his firm's primary emphasis is on small business representation. Attorney Session, welcome to Law Talk.
Thank you, Ethel. I'm excited to be here.
Well, I am glad to have you here. You have a very unique background and a lot of experience.
I do.
You really do, and I appreciate you coming and sharing that experience with my audience. Tell us, how does someone get involved or started with doing business with the government? Because that's one of your major focuses.
It is, and let me say first that my law office my tagline is corporate attorneys for today's entrepreneurs.
Oh, okay. I like that.
So
Very
I really
good.
focus on the business of helping entrepreneurs, people who are starting in business or have been in business and trying to grow their business.
Mm-hmm.
And we really focus on trying to give them complete services, not only just legal services, but business development as well as
that's good.
the ability to develop their business through political affiliations and networking. I always like to say that being an entrepreneur and being in business is part art, part science.
Okay.
And I like acronyms, so the art part is ART.
Okay.
It is your audience, It's your relationships, and it's your tools.
I like that.
Let me kind
Okay,
of break that down and unpack
please.
that for you.
Please do.
And it's very important if you're going into government business that you know your audience. That's the A.
Okay.
Should I be in
thought
state?
of a business having an audience.
Yes.
That's interesting. Okay.
Do you want to be in the federal government space? Do you want to be in the local government space? Do you want to be in the state government? State, local, and federal government all procure goods and services. And so you have to really know who your audience is in terms of how are you going to do business.
Okay.
And once you define that, and we can backtrack and sort of determine how we can make a decision to get into that area. The next thing that you want to look at is the relationships. That's the art, the R part of art.
Okay.
And part of the relationships is having affiliations with the right trade associations, for instance.
Okay.
And,
okay.
The right relationships with politicians, the right relationships with decision makers. Then finally, you have to know what your tools are.
Okay.
And by tools, I mean what certifications do I need as a small business?
Okay.
If it's a local government, you're going to have a certain certifications. If you're federal government, you may have another set of certifications.
Okay.
Let me give you an example. If you're doing business in the federal government market, you want to make sure that you get your 8A certification, for instance.
Okay.
As a way of being able to do business in the federal space.
All right.
By contrast, if you're doing business in the District of Columbia, you want to be able to get your what they call Certified Business Enterprise Certification, CBE certification for short.
What is that called? CP?
CBE.
CBE.
Yes.
Okay.
Certified Business Enterprises certification. The other kind of tools that you typically will want to get, again, if you're in the federal space, is something called a D.C. supply schedule. Excuse me, a GSA schedule, which stands for General Services Administration Schedule.
That's for the federal government?
That's for the federal government.
Okay.
Again, that's a useful tool because if you're buying, trying to sell your services or your products, the GSA schedule is essentially the catalog from which the federal government agencies buy off of.
Okay.
By contrast,
that would be important. Yeah.
Very important.
Yeah.
A GSA schedule is a useful tool.
Okay.
By contrast, the DC schedule, DC supply schedule, is a comparable schedule where all small businesses that are trying to sell goods and services will get their certification or sign up for the DC supply schedule. Again,
so there is a DC supply schedule also?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
And,
very good.
It has 16 different services and commodity codes in which, depending on what type of business you're in, that you can apply for. So again, it's about being an artist. The art of being an artist is know your audience, develop your relationships, and acquire the proper tools.
The tools, right. My audience, I want you to know that you're listening to Attorney Warner's session. His office number is 202-626-6740. His email address is whs@warnersession.com, and there's no S on session.
That's
right,
correct.
right. But you clearly know this space. You definitely have worked with this space. So anybody wanting to do business with the government, you're saying one of the first things you have to do is determine what market you want to go after.
That's correct. And that is really a function of doing your research.
Mm-hmm.
Oftentimes people who've worked in federal agencies and then retire or want to go out and be entrepreneurs, it's sort of a natural segue to federal government procurement.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
By contrast, if you live and work in Prince George's County and you sort of know the landscape there, you may be inclined to do county government.
Yes. That's
but again,
right.
it's a function of really doing your research, identifying your audience, understanding who your relationships are, and then once you do that, to get the appropriate tools.
Okay, so now tell me, what is, how do you position yourself to get contracts? I mean, how do you do the research, you determine which market you want to go after, and I assume that if you're just starting, would your recommendation be that you go after one or the other, not all three at the same time?
That's correct, because you have to consider your capacity. Most small business owners will start with themselves and maybe one or two other people. So it really is a matter of capacity. You can only do so much in a given day, and the worst thing you can do is spread yourself too thin.
And then not be able to perform. Right.
And typically the owner and CEO of a business does it all. Chief cook and bottle washer.
Right.
They have to do it all. Market the business, service the business, manage the business. So it's important not to spread yourself
too thin. Okay. When we're going to come back, we're going to get in more detail. Thank you. We have to take a break right now. But thank you. This is very good information. Thank you.
1450 WOL, where information is power.
Be sure to tune into Law Talk with attorney Ethel Mitchell this Saturday morning at her new time, 9 a.m. until 10 a.m. It's now 1 full hour of great guests, great information, and lots of great law talk. So this Saturday, be sure to join attorney Ethel Mitchell for another exciting show. To reach attorney Mitchell, you may do so by calling 202-772-1988 or log on to www.lawtalkwithethelmitchell.com.
Have you called to schedule your next appointment at Advanced Dental yet?
No, not yet, but I will. I got time.
Well, if you don't make your appointment before December 31st, you'll lose your unused dental coverage.
I didn't know that.
Your unused coverage doesn't roll over, so if you don't use it, you lose it. Take advantage of the holiday season and this time that you have off, and make sure that you call to make your appointment today.
You're right. I'll call Advanced Dental. What's the number again?
301-474-6392. Or you can make your appointment online at dmvsmiles.com.
Welcome, NBA fans. Tonight's NBA
Man, nothing beats seeing an NBA game in person. Hey, buddy, thanks again for driving. So, where are our seats?
Oh, we're sitting right around the corner. Hey, but before we do anything, let me stop for a second at the designated driver booth and make the pledge.
Excuse me, sir. Did you say designated driver?
Yeah, I'm the designated driver tonight.
Congratulations. You are a winner. And for being the designated driver and always buckling up every trip, every time, you have won the adoration of your friends and family who will get home safely from the game.
Cool.
Your prize also includes the gratitude of all of the drivers on the road who won't have to fear for their lives. And finally, you've won the chance to follow your favorite NBA team to the NBA Finals because responsibility has its rewards.
Woo! Yeah!
To find out more, visit the designated driver booth at the arena or visit rhir.org. A message from this station and Team Coalition.
Welcome back to the Dog Show. Up next, we have Satchmo. Satchmo is a member of the Shelter Pet Group.
That's right, a group known especially for their couch-snuggling, ball-chasing, face-licking, tail-wagging, backyard-hanging, and, of course, companionship.
And what breed would you say Satchmo is?
I'd have to go with maybe a lavish terrier-hound chihuahua-looking kind of mix.
Tremendous dog.
I'd also like to point out Satchmo's coloring, a white, gray, brown, black brindle, simply marvelous.
You know, it's such a treat to watch a dog like this.
Now, let's see him in action.
Look how he makes eye contact with his person.
That's actually known as the treat stare.
How intuitive. And now he appears to be excitedly turning in circles.
Ah, the happy dance, so common with this group.
And finally, the loving face flick.
It's great how he just gets in there and, well, licks.
Fantastic. But really, the best way to know an amazing shelter pet like Satchmo is to meet one.
Visit theshelterpetproject.org today. Adopt.
Brought to you by Maddie's Fund, the Humane Society of the United States, and the Ad Council.
Today in school, I learned a lot. In chemistry, I learned that no one likes me. In English, I learned that I'm disgusting. And in physics, I learned that I'm a loser.
Today in school, I learned that I'm ugly and useless. And in gym, I learned that I'm pathetic and a joke. In history, I learned that I'm trash.
Today in school, I learned that I have no friends. In English, I learned that I make people sick. And at lunch, I learned that I sit on my own because I smell. In chemistry, I learned that no one likes me.
In biology, I learned that I'm fat and stupid. And in math,
I learned that I'm trash. The only thing I didn't learn in school today?
The only thing I didn't learn today.
The only thing I didn't learn
Is why no one ever helps.
Kids witness bullying every day. They want to help, but they don't know how. Teach them how to stop bullying and be more than a bystander at stopbullying.gov. A message from the Ad Council.
News Talk 1450 WOL-AM, where information is power.
Welcome back. This is your host, Attorney Ethel Mitchell, and you are listening to Law Talk with Ethel Mitchell. Today we have Attorney Warner Session, and he is telling us about how to do business with the government, D.C., federal, or Maryland County government as well. So, Attorney Session, how do we get established? You've told us about the basic tools, how you identify your market, what are the designations that are needed for the particular markets, where you find what contracts are available. Now tell us the next step. How do you go about getting these contracts? What is the process there?
Well, it's so important to completely immerse yourself in the subject matter that you're involved in, whatever industry it may be, whether it's information technology, whether it's construction. Regardless of the industry, you need to first and foremost immerse yourself in getting as much information and associating yourself with trade associations and people in that space.
Okay.
For example, if I'm a construction contractor, I'm going to make sure that I join the trade association that represents my industry. What that does is gives me a couple things. It gives me access to information. What are the trends in the industry, as well as an opportunity to network with other people in that space. And again, I cannot stress enough, it's relationships. And so part of sort of finding your way to government contracting, of course, all governments have websites in terms of post procurement opportunities. That's fine as far as it goes, but you really need to get ahead of the curve. You find out about procurement opportunities far before the RFP comes out, request for proposals.
Okay.
Far before invitation for bids come out. You really need.
How do you do that?
Well, again, you need to be able to immerse yourself in the subject matter and make linkages with the people who are in that space. For instance, if I'm doing business in the District of Columbia government and I want to do construction on schools because they have a big program to modernize schools. Well, what agency does that? Well, I'd find out that it's the Department of General Services.
Okay.
And I'd make sure that I'd routinely go to any event, any forums, anything that the Department of General Services may be promoting or doing to inform the small business community of their activity. And I'd start developing a relationship with some of the program people. And by making sure that I attend their fairs, I attend their outreach forums, that I get to know them, I follow up, I make meetings, schedule meetings with these individuals, decision makers. You have to really do the shoe leather. You've got to go out there and be aggressive about marketing and developing a personal relationship with the individuals who are making decisions about procurement.
So they know your face and they know your company personally.
It's what I call profile raising.
Okay.
And there's no substitute for it. You can have the best mousetrap in the world, but if nobody knows it's the best mousetrap, it's not going to help you.
Okay.
And so it's very important as an entrepreneur, as someone who's building a business, to penetrate the market by profile raising, developing those personal relationships, building your knowledge base and become fluent in the subject matter, again, through your affiliations and trade associations and other forums. Just like with us lawyers, we're members of bar associations.
Right. You have to be.
We go to annual conferences.
Right.
And that gives us an opportunity to learn and to meet others from across the country about what are the trends in the legal business.
In the legal business, right, definitely. And in terms of relationships with government contracts, how valuable are political relationships? Is that part of that process too?
Oh, absolutely. Indispensable.
Yeah.
And this is the part that everybody misses. People say, well, I'm not political. Well, you better get political.
Okay. Okay. And tell us, what do you mean by that? Tell us.
I have a little icon on my website that says "Business is Political." It's a little video.
Okay.
And it's on the homepage of my website. And by that I mean politics, policy, and business intersect all the time.
Yeah.
And let's face it, no matter what industry you're in, you're regulated by some form of public policy.
Right.
And it's important that you establish your political relationships. It doesn't always have to be a one-on-one, but it can be through, again, a trade association. For example, if I'm in the District of Columbia, which I am, I'm a member of the D.C. Chamber of Commerce.
Right, that's a big one.
Big one.
Yeah, that's important.
And they're the voice for the business community, so they do the lobbying down at the district building. They raise issues as it relates to things that may impact small businesses. So at the very least, it's important to be a member of the D.C. Chamber of Commerce if I'm going to do business in the District of Columbia.
District of Columbia, right.
And that's what I mean by business is political, because we have an industry day where we just walk the halls and we go visit individual council members and let them know what our agenda is. What are some of the things that could adversely affect us as business owners?
I see.
What are some of the things that we want to promote?
And a regular business owner can be involved in that kind of thing?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
And you, of course, you have to measure, how much time you can contribute to it.
Right.
It's a mistake to be inactive and be atheist.
I see.
You can't be agnostic about these
kinds of things.
You really do need to participate at some level and be active in again, using the D.C. Chamber of Commerce as an example, be active in that kind of
in their activities and so forth.
Yes.
And the clip that you talked about, Business is Political, is on your website?
It is.
Yes, that's www.warnersession.com. Okay,
correct.
so I want my audience to go there and check it out because she has very good services and very good information there. I would imagine. Yes. Now, did you have when we come back, we'll talk a bit more about any work that you may have done with particular political persons, shall we say, that may have been helpful to your clients.
Yes.
Okay?
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. We'll be back. We have to make a break.
1450 WOL, where information is power.
Who might you save?
Your mother, your father, your husband, uncle, aunt, son.
Learn FAST, F-A-S-T, the sudden signs of a stroke, and you could save
your friend, your best friend, teacher, boss, coach.
F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. S, speech difficulty. T, time to call 911. F-A-S-T, face, arm, speech, time. That's F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. S, speech difficulty. T, time to call 911. The sooner they get to the hospital, the sooner they'll get treatment. And that can make a remarkable difference in the recovery of
your neighbor, the waiter, a fellow shopper, a total stranger, grandmother, grandfather.
So learn FAST, the sudden signs of a stroke, then pass it on, because you never know who might save you.
Your wife, your colleague, teammate, mother.
Spot a stroke fast. Visit strokeassociation.org. Brought to you by the American Stroke Association and the Ad Council.
As I went through school, one giant question loomed over me. What did I want to be? But in order to know what I wanted to be, I had to first decide what I wanted to make. I wanted to make more. So I became a teacher. Now I make learning a privilege, not a chore. And frustration, a tool, not an obstacle. I make working hard seem easy, and giving up impossible. I make an old subject feel like a fresh thought, and unconventional methods common. I make material things less important, and little things like patience and kindness count. I make weekdays more exciting than weekends, and classrooms feel like anything but. I make things different, which is all I ever hoped for. I'm a teacher. I make more.
Find out how you can make more at teach.org. Make more. Teach. Brought to you by Teach and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to the Cat Show. Up next we have Nico. Nico is a member of the Shelter Pet Group.
That's right. A group known especially for their sunspot sleeping, ball chasing, leg rubbing, couch purring, bed leaping, and of course companionship.
Wonderful. And what breed would you say Nico is?
I'd have to go with a tabbyish Persian kind of mix.
Tremendous cat.
I'd also like to point out her coat's wonderful mix of colors. Is it black, gray, gray-black, brown?
Somewhere in between.
Indeed.
You know, it's always special when we get to see a cat like this.
Just look how she struts.
It's like she owns the place.
And how she's so incredibly cute in her indifference to commands.
A strong-willed feline.
Ah, and see how she curls up and cuddles her person.
The pitch on her purring is simply perfect.
Nice one.
I know. Fantastic cat.
Fantastic indeed. But really the best way to know an amazing shelter pet like Nico is to meet one.
Visit theshelterpetproject.org today. Adopt. Brought to you by Maddie's Fund, the Humane Society of the United States, and the Ad Council.
Welcome, NBA fans. Tonight's NBA
Man, nothing beats seeing an NBA game in person. Hey, buddy, thanks again for driving. So, where are our seats?
Oh, we're sitting right around the corner. Hey, but before we do anything, let me stop for a second at the designated driver booth and make the pledge.
Excuse me, sir. Did you say designated driver?
Yeah, I'm the designated driver tonight.
Congratulations. You are a winner. And for being the designated driver and always buckling up every trip, every time, you have won the adoration of your friends and family who will get home safely from the game.
Cool.
Your prize also includes the gratitude of all of the drivers on the road who won't have to fear for their lives. And finally, you've won the chance to follow your favorite NBA team to the NBA Finals because responsibility has its rewards.
Woo! Yeah!
To find out more, visit the designated driver booth at the arena or visit rhir.org. A message from this station and Team Coalition.
News Talk 1450 WOL-AM, where information is power.
Welcome back. You are listening to Law Talk with Ethel Mitchell, and I have as my host Attorney Warner Session. And he was giving us some really important information for anybody wanting to do business with the government. And we had just finished talking about how valuable political relationships are in terms of conducting business with the federal and the local governments. And I hope you don't mind me asking, but were you good friends with you did work with Mayor Berry, is that not correct?
I did, and of course we all will miss him. He was a fixture in the Washington, D.C. community for so long.
Yes,
and,
yes.
You know, Mayor Berry was really a generation of black mayors that really enabled black middle class, black businesses to flourish.
Right.
You think of, Maynard Jackson in Atlanta, Coleman Young in Detroit.
That's right.
Dutch
David
Morial
Dinkin.
in New Orleans and Dinkins in New York.
In New York, yeah.
And of course, Mayor Berry was always fighting for the enlargement of black businesses, and he was, in fact, one of the last conversations I had with him was just Tuesday, right before a legislative session, and we were talking about how he was going to help one of my clients who was having some issues with one of the district government agencies. So it was always foremost in his mind how to advance and be more inclusive of African American businesses. And of course, during his first term as mayor, he started what was then known as the Minority Business Opportunity Commission. And one of the things that he really fought for was to be inclusive of businesses across the board. For instance, when he went to Wall Street and the Wall Street bankers came in, he says, look, we need African American financial advisors.
Right.
If you're going to take our city's money, I want to make sure that the people that are advising us, look like us.
Right.
And he always fought for that, and always sought to be more inclusive at all levels of district government. So, he was one of a kind, and he'll certainly be missed.
He'll be missed, right? And that's the kind of political clout that's needed to help our businesses grow. I think a lot of people don't realize that that's part of the process of getting business to be able to do that.
It absolutely is.
Yeah.
It's advocacy.
Right.
You need people like Marion Barry to continue to defend the gains that we have made and continue to advance it forward.
Right.
As an aside, as you know, there's been an erosion of affirmative action programs.
Oh, very much so.
At the state and federal level, and we want to make sure that it's not eroded to the point of becoming non-existent.
Right.
So you need advocates like Marion Barry, like Maynard Jackson, like Mayor Dinkins, who will stand up and say, look, we have to be more inclusive, because these are taxpayer dollars.
And we pay a lot of taxes. Yeah, we do.
And if we're going to do government business, we need to be make sure that it is inclusive of all businesses.
All businesses, yes. And I understand you are active with the Urban League. Is that a good organization to belong to?
Oh, absolutely. In my case, it's the Greater Washington Urban League. Of course, Urban League has affiliate chapters across the country. Because I'm in Washington, I'm affiliated with
that one.
Greater Washington Urban League. Yes.
Because I know their focus is very much on business and promoting that. You know, have you had occasion to work with Mayor Gray?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And as
how is he in terms of being an advocate for our businesses?
Tremendous, and great attention to detail. Just a wonderful guy man to be around, and he has really sort of taken what we've had that was started back in the Barry years and continued to nurture and grow it. You mentioned early on, as part of my bio, that I'm a director of on the Metropolitan Washington Airports Authority. And it was Mayor Gray that appointed me to that.
I
board.
see. I see. Okay, very good. That's how that works. That's important.
It's important. Again, it goes back to having
relationships. Yeah,
yes.
Having relationships. Yeah.
If I was just sitting in my law office, not getting out and doing anything, I can assure you I would not be on the MWA board.
Wow. So, do you expect the same relationship with the new mayor-elect? You'll be working on that too?
Yes. In fact, I am on the transition committee.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
I'm in the transportation cluster. They've organized the transition team into different subject matter clusters: affordable housing, economic development, transportation. And I'm serving on the transportation.
The transportation committee. Good. Very good. Very good.
And I have very high hopes for Mayor Bowser, Mayor-elect Bowser. She will soon be mayor come January 2nd. And she's certainly making every effort to be inclusive. She ran on a platform of all 8 wards to make sure that it's not just the people west of the park, but also east of the park and east of the river, who are part of this economic resurgence that we're now experiencing.
Yes, that we're experiencing. Yeah, and that people don't get put out of the city.
Yeah,
because that's a real issue.
It's a real issue.
Yeah. The housing situation is getting to be very difficult.
It's expensive to be in Washington when you own or rent. It's very
That's
expensive.
Right. It is. I know. I live here. I know. So let's talk to business owners. You've been talking about already what kinds of relationships they need to have. Let's go now to tools. What's involved with getting the designations, like the 8A designation or the CBE designation that you say? Is this required before you can even bid on a contract?
It's not always required, but it certainly is useful, and it would be a mistake not to have it if you're going to participate in the procurement process. For instance, in the District of Columbia, all large contracts have to have a 35% subcontracting goal for CBEs, Certified Business Enterprises. By the same token, all district government agencies have to spend at least 50% of
That's
their
great.
expendable budget with small businesses.
That's excellent.
Well, only way that you qualify as small business is to get certified. So again, it would be useful, obviously, to be able to be competitive and to be able to take part in the government procurement system to be able to get certified. Now, having said that, it's very important to have your act together when you certify, whether it's local, county, or federal government, because typically you're required to produce tax returns.
Okay.
You're required to produce balance sheet, so you need to have your financial affairs in order. You need to have certain licenses, like business licenses, that you need to be able to produce. It can be a fairly comprehensive package when you apply for these various certifications.
Okay.
So it's very important that you have your fiscal and your legal house in order as you prepare to obtain these very valuable tools to be in government contracting.
And you help people to get those kinds of certifications, is that
I
right?
do.
You do.
Yes.
Now, you mentioned something that I'm going to have you come back next week and talk about called a legal audit.
Yes.
And I want my listeners, especially those who are in business or thinking about going into business, to listen to that, because I think that's going to be really important information to give out. But you mentioned also that there are certain professional resources that every business person needs to have. What were you talking about when you mentioned what kind of resources do you think all businesses need to have?
Well, I think, again, I like acronyms.
Okay. Okay.
And I always say that to make sure that your business is fail-proof, FAIL. There are 4 essential advisors that you need.
Okay.
The F is your financial advisor.
Yes. Yes.
And that typically is your banker. You need to have a banking relationship.
I tell young people that all the time. Get to know a banker.
You got to know a banker. You can't
got to know a
just
banker. Yeah.
We walk
really
in and out of banks every day, but we don't have relationships with them. You have to
learn
get
how
to know your banker, and more than one, because I have numerous banking relationships because I want to take advantage of what each bank has to offer.
Right.
The second part of the acronym is A, which is your accountant. You got to have a good accountant. Again, I talked about having your financial house in order. And typically, most small businesses will have, at the very least, you need to have a bookkeeper to keep track of your books on a monthly basis.
Right.
And then you'll have a CPA that actually does your taxes
and so forth. Yeah.
But from day one, you want to have a financial system in place. That means most small businesses, or a lot of small businesses, use QuickBooks.
Right.
From day one, you want to set up your QuickBooks account so you can be able to book your income and expenses. The third part of the acronym, I, and this is the thing everybody misses, that's insurance. Every business needs insurance.
I've never heard anybody say that. Yeah,
right?
Yeah,
you better have insurance.
Have insurance, yes, indeed.
You have to have insurance, and get a good insurance broker, because every business has its varying types of risk. If you're in construction, you have a higher risk,
right.
So you're going to need a different kind of insurance versus an IT business, which was maybe a lower risk. So that you'd have a different kind of insurance for that. Then finally, your L, and of course we know what that is. That's your lawyer.
Yes.
Every good business needs to have a lawyer.
Yeah.
So if you have your financial advisor, your accountant, your insurance, and your lawyer,
those are major resources.
Those are your resources. You'll become fail-proof.
Right. That's a good one. I like that. I like that. Very good. Very good. So when you have those things together, does that mean that it makes it easier to then go after these certifications that you need?
It
does.
That
the idea?
It does, because it's really being able to organize information in a way that you can, produce it very easily. And once you've gone through the exercise of having put certification package together, the next one gets easier.
I see.
Then the next one after that gets a little easier than the one before.
And can you do those as you're doing other business? I mean, if you're a business person and you have private contracts, you can be doing those contracts while you're getting the government certification. Is that not correct?
Yes, and a lot of those resources, all of those resources really migrate into the private sector as well.
Yes.
Because you can still need a financial advisor, you can still need an accountant, you can still need insurance, you can still need a lawyer.
Right.
So those things do intersect with both private and public sector
and public sector work, right. And you're able to advise and guide people. You know, years ago, we used to be called attorneys and counselors of law. And I really miss that. I'm going to put that back on my letterhead.
You really do, because
it's the counseling where we really, that's the more important part. Yeah.
I mean, if you think about it, most small businesses can afford the rates of attorneys on a day-to-day business.
Right.
And the fact of the matter is, you typically don't need, quote, legal work on a daily basis.
No.
What you do need more routinely and more periodically is the counseling.
Yeah.
You know, should I do this? Should I do that? Should
I
consider this? Should I consider that? And it's really that kind of work that's
most valuable.
That's so valuable.
Yeah.
And we all counselors.
Yeah, that really is it. Yeah. And we can guide and keep people out of trouble.
Yes.
You know, because we've seen it, you know.
That's right.
And
I always tell folks it's far less expensive to pay me now than to pay me later.
Right. Definitely. And really that was the impetus for this program.
Yes. For
people to learn what we can do to help people ahead of time before they get into trouble.
Yes.
You know, there's so much that if you go early enough or you come to us early enough, that we can avoid for you and encourage you about. And we have contacts that we can share with people if they will just come to us ahead of time.
Yes.
You know. And that's what you're not going to get from LegalZoom.
You're not going to get from LegalZoom.
You're not going to get it from, and I don't mean that in terms of that particular industry, but just going online and getting a form and doing stuff like that. You're not going to get that from those kind of companies.
And I'm glad you said that because, because there's so much information on the internet that too often the default is to go to the internet and get a form, but it doesn't give you everything else that you really need to make your business successful.
Make your business successful, yeah. And I know in my business with the wills and trust and power of attorneys and so on like that, so often people don't know all of the different ins and outs that can be used to help you to accomplish what you want, you know. But if you don't talk to a live lawyer, you know, and somebody that knows what they're doing, has done it for years, then you just won't know.
And so much of what we do is the body of experience that we've accumulated over the years. We've seen so many different iterations of what can happen.
Yes.
That
good and bad.
Good and bad.
Good and bad.
It's important when you find a legal advisor. It needs to be a lawyer that's in that specialty.
In the arena you want to play in.
Yeah.
Yeah. You need somebody that. So if you're in politics or you want to be involved in government contracts, you need a lawyer that knows how to do that.
Absolutely.
You definitely need a lawyer that knows how to do that.
How often do people come to us asking us about something related to criminal law?
Oh, honey.
Or personal injury. I said, no, I don't do that.
You do not want me to represent you on a criminal case at all, you know. But we're talking to Attorney Warner Session. His phone number is 202-626-6740. His website is warnersession.com. His email address is whs@warnersession.com. And I encourage anyone who is in business and who wants to do work with any of the governmental entities here to get in touch with him. And I've asked him to return next week to tell us more specifically about the kinds of things that a legal audit would reveal, because it's important that when you do business, you're in good shape legally to do it properly as well. Yes. So I really thank you very much for coming, because you have a very unique form of expertise there, you know.
Well, thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Yes. And to my listeners, remember that if you want to do government with the federal government, and correct me if I'm wrong, it's the 8A certification.
Yes.
And you want to look at the GSA schedule.
Yes.
Which is where you go to find out what contracts and what services are needed.
And again, the GSA schedule is a tool because it's a tool for government agencies to buy off. It's like a catalog. So
yes.
You have to actually apply for a GSA schedule, and once you get that, that allows government agencies to buy off that schedule like they would any other catalog.
I see. So your company's listed in the GSA schedule?
Your company, my company is not, but yes.
I mean, a businessman's company
would be on it.
Once they're certified,
but when they're certified, they'll get what they call a GSA schedule number. And so as they compete for contracts, an agency like the Department of Agriculture say, well, do you have a GSA schedule? Yes, my GSA schedule number is 1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay.
And so that allows that agency to buy a lot easier than trying to compete every single procurement.
You know what we didn't talk about, and if we have time, can you tell us a little bit about teaming with big businesses? Because I know you know about that too.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that, please.
Well, I certainly believe that one of the entry points, particularly if you're talking about the federal government market, is to team with a large company, because all large companies have subcontracting requirements. Government agencies are required to impose on their prime contractors a subcontracting requirement. So if I'm a big company like, let's say, Lockheed, then I know that a certain part of that business, in order to obtain a government contract, has to be subcontracted out. So I want to develop a relationship with a Lockheed if I'm in that particular industry, so that as they pursue opportunities, I can team with them.
I see.
Then there's teaming between other small businesses, again, to aggregate and achieve economies of scale. So we may team together to go after a larger contract where your resources alone may not be enough to pursue such a large
contract
deal.
by yourself. That is excellent. That's excellent information. Thank you
Yes.
so much.
Absolutely.
Thank you. And we'll look forward to having you next week.
Yes.
So we can talk more about this.
Yeah.
We definitely will. Thank you very much. We're going to go in now to what I call my good news section. And there's some information I want to share with everyone. If you have a student who is in college, the President Obama and the First Lady are encouraging Americans to apply for the 2015-2016 White House Fellows Program. President Obama and First Lady Michelle Obama are saying that the 2015-2016 application was launched on November 1. It is accessible online. The program has become the nation's leading fellowship for public service and leadership, geared to exposing individuals to first-hand experience and a better understanding of operations performed in the federal government. The White House Fellows Program consists of a person who is a fellow working full-time in the offices of the cabinet secretaries, senior White House staff, and other high-powered administration officials in Washington, D.C. The opportunity will provide a very exciting and rewarding year to the chosen candidates, showcasing a behind-the-scenes insight into the inner workings of how our government functions. So I want to encourage those of you who know students who might be eligible for this to go online, go to the whitehouse.gov, right? And it's there online. My executive producer, Stacy Royster, got that for me, and I would like to see more of our children apply for and get those kinds of benefits, those kinds of jobs. Another thing that I want to share with you is Verna Jones has been named the American Legion's first female executive director. The American Legion has named Verna Jones As its new executive director, she is the first woman to lead the veterans organization in its nearly 100-year history. Jones is an attorney and an Army veteran who served as a personnel sergeant, stepping into her new role on November 1st. Legion spokesman Marty Callahan says he believes that Jones is the organization's first African-American executive director as well, but he could not confirm it absolutely. Previously, she had served as the director of the Legion's Veterans Affairs and Rehabilitation Division. And I wish Mo Better Man was around. I think he would really enjoy that. I think he would really, really enjoy that. Another good news section is, everybody probably remembers Little League pitcher Monet Davis. Well, she landed a deal with HarperCollins Children's Books, and she is going to release Monet Davis, Remember My Name. That's the name of her book, and it's going to be released on March 17th of 2015. If you recall, in August, Miss Davis became the first girl ever to pitch a shutout in the Little League World Series. She is a 13-year-old from Philadelphia that went on to grace the cover of Sports Illustrated. She's a star in a Chevy commercial, and she donated her jersey to the Baseball Hall of Fame to commemorate the historic achievement. And I think I read somewhere that somebody set up a trust for her so that she could get her earnings and have them preserved and have them, kept in the right manner. So that brings me back to my little subject, which is trust in estates. So do know that there's a way that you can benefit children while they are alive. Yes. With this kind of thing. So this is Ethel Mitchell, Attorney Ethel Mitchell. We're going to close out this section. Give me a call if you need any assistance with a will, power of attorney, administering your estate. My number is 202-772-1988. That's all I do is wills, trust, and estate planning. And I enjoy doing it. And I do a lot of speaking at churches and other organizations about this kind of subject. So call me if you'd like me to come in and speak to your organization or your church. I'd be more than happy to do that. Join us next week. Attorney Warner Session is going to return and talk to us in more detail about how you position yourself as a business. What are the legal things that are necessary to position yourself to do well in both the private and the public sector? And again, you can reach him at 202-626-6740, WHS@warnersession.com. And that's session without an S on it, right?
Yes.
So I hope everybody enjoyed their Thanksgiving holiday. I ate too much as usual. I was in New York with my daughter, and I went to see the 9/11 memorial. It was really, really moving. So I encourage everyone that is visiting New York to go and see that. It's quite a moving memorial. I think everyone should see this. Anyway, have a good week, and we will see you next week.
News updates on the web at WOLDCnews.com.
Who might